Hello everyone. It's actually a beautiful day, and it's another uh, day where we're going to be talking about the Windows Server 2025. Windows Server 2025 happens to be the 14th and the current major versions of the Windows NT operating system, which we all know is produced by Microsoft to be released under the Windows Server brand name. The official date for this was actually November 1st, 2024. And during this period, Microsoft they also announced that the sudo command, which we all know from the Linux environments, feature will be made available for Windows Server 2025. But however, the release of the Windows 11 build it later confirmed that the feature would be available exclusively on Windows 11. So that's a very good one. Uh, and major features for the servers is the server flighting, which gives the ability to be able to upgrade to a new release via Windows updates, and this other one is the pay-as-you-go subscription, and also we have the SMB over quick update, and we have the auth patching, and also Windows package manager. So if you check through this file, this will give you like kind of a view of what Windows Server 2025 actually contains. There are lots of other very good features that they brought into perspective. And for this server, we have the server core edition, and we have the server with desktop experience. So if you're going to be running like a headless deployment, I would suggest you go with this server core. But for most people that actually like or loves the GUI environment, this completes, it has a complete installation and includes a full GUI for customers who prefers these options. And it comes in different languages. That's the ISO. We have the Chinese, English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Russian, and Spanish. And the evaluation options that we have the Server 2025 on Microsoft Azure. We have on ISO, and we have on DHT 64-bit. So we're going to be handling this ISO, which I would show how to deploy this. And the first thing you have to be very sure of again is when you want to deploy, the first thing you have to look at the prerequisite, which is the first thing, system requirement. So for system requirements, for you to be able to install this Windows Server 2025, you have to check with your host computer, you have to check your CPU. So the minimum requirement, at least you have to have up to about 1.4 gigahertz of 64-bit processor. And you check a list of all this. Then the RAM, the minimum, for a server core, which is the headless one, is 2 gig. Then for a desktop environment, though they said 2 gig for server with desktop experience, but 4 gig is recommended. So please, I want you to pay a closer attention to this requirement. Is very very important if you want to install. Then for storage, the minimum requirement for storage is 32 gig of space. This is what is required. 32 gig should be considered an absolute minimum value for successful installation. Then on networking, a minimum, if you have an Ethernet adapter that can achieve a throughput so at least 1 gigabits per second, it's fantastic too. Or the one that is compliant with the PCI Express architecture specifications. So These are the things that we need to pay attention to. And also it supports, I mean, if you have a pre-boot, that's a PXE. If you have a pre-boot execution environment, it's also useful, but not a minimum requirement. So it's just part of it. If you have it, fine. If you don't have it, it's all good. So we're gonna get along and show you how to install. Yes, so we're live here on how to install the Windows Server 2025. So if you have VMware tool, which is Workstation Pro 17, just follow along as we install. So the first thing you do is you say create, because you want to create a new machine. So you say create a new machine. Once you click on that, this pops up. So we have the two types. That's typical, which is recommended, and we have the custom. Create a virtual machine with advanced options such as classic controller, virtual disk types, and compatibility with older virtual. So I'll pick this custom. Say next. Hardware compatibility. That's the 17.5 or later. I pick next. Then for the ISO file, because I already have the ISO file downloaded, so we select that and we open it. So for you to be able to get this ISO image, it's pretty straightforward. So you just come via the Microsoft's evaluation link, then you scroll down, you see download ISO image. So once you click on that, then it pops right up and it starts to download. So let's go back to this environment. So we say next. When you click on next, what uh, version of, I mean, guest operating system do you want to install? Is definitely Microsoft. So we select Microsoft and you choose the operating system type you want to install. If you can see here, it's 2025. So we select the Windows Server 2025 and we say next. So you choose a location where you want the server installed. So I picked, I mean, just a random place on my desktop computer, which is the ISO, the VMs, and I gave it name Server 2025, and you say next. And for your server name also, so you can choose a name for a server, which is, I mean, Windows Server 2025. So we say next. Then you can choose the type of boot you want, so if it's the BIOS or the UEFI, which is secure boot. Click on that, say next. Then, if you remember, based on the system requirements that was talked about the other time, the system requirements for the CPU, you see 1.4 gigahertz, 64 bits. So we are going to say 2 number of core processor. We say 2 as well. So for this, I'm also going to tell you to be mindful when you're selecting this based on your computer configuration. So you have to make sure that your host machine has enough processor or processing power based on whatever you're going to be choosing, we're going to be picking here. So if you have less than these resources, I'm going to advise that you just stop immediately, and as either you upgrade your the processing power of your host computer so that you can have enough resources. Because if you don't have that, it's going to slow you down or it may crash the host computer. So we click on next. Then, yes, for the RAM, this is the RAM. So also you have to consider your host computer before you can choose a RAM. And if we go by the specification. They said two core, that's server core, 2 gig. But for the desktop environment, because we're going to be installing the desktop experience, so 4 gig is recommended. So we're going to be using the 4 gig. So um, it's everything about a computer is always to the power of two. So that'll be 4096. That's 4 gig. So we say next. Then for the networking part, because I mean this is a virtual environment, um, like the site say, this high adapter can achieve a throughput of less than 1.1 gig per second. So would is that how you take the NAT? Well, I mean based on the workstation, so we could use the bridge, we could use the NAT, and we could use the host only. So um, I would go into detail by the time I want to explain things on networking. So for now, I'll take the NAT. So for NAT, NAT gives the guest operating system access to the host computer's dial-up or external Ethernet network connection using the host IP address. So I'll say next. So I'll stick to this LSI logic SAS, which is recommended. I'll say next. Then for this, so for the NVMe, which is recommended, I'll take that. I mean, these are the options. Then the days of IDE that you have to plug in your IDE storage. Then the SCSI and SATA also from SATA. If your computer supports the NVE, I mean, I would say you stick to this recommended option. So say next. So here. It says create a new virtual disk, yes, which we are going to be doing. So we say next. Then on the recommendation, if you remember also, the minimum requirement is 32 gig of space. So, but also if you have enough disk size on your host computer, I would advise that you step it up. So the minimum is 32. But in this case, I'm just gonna stick by 60. I'll just 60, which is even the recommended size. So I'll stick by 60. I'll say 60. Then so on this one, we have three options there. We have there are two options, but two other options. So under the two options, so the first one says store virtual disk as a single file. So if you store a single file, everything will just be bundled as a single file. Then if you click on the allocate all disk space now, what it does is all the 60 gig that you've actually assigned there has to be readily available. It's going to take the disk space right now. That's what it's just going to do. But if you uncheck this and you say split, it makes it easier when you split disks into multiple files. Splitting the disk made it easier to move the virtual machine to another computer, but may reduce performance with very large disk. So then, if you click on this option also, if you do not allocate all space now, the virtual disk starts small and grows as you add data to it. So I would uncheck this. So we are checking this because we just want the size allocated to just grow as we add data. So I'm going to click on next. Then here, 60 gig virtual disk created using multiple disk files, and the disk files will be automatically named based on this file name. So this is the name. So we just say next. And yes, this is the summary page of what we've just done. So the server name 2025, the location where the VM file will be stored. This is it, which you choose. The version, the operating systems. It gives this. This is the workstation version, and this is the operating system version, which is Server 2025. The hard disk, you select the 60 gig. The memory size based on recommendation, recommended by Microsoft, is 4 gig, 4 gig for RAM. Then the adapter, yeah, we chose NAT. For the other devices as the CPU and the rest of them, we have the four CPU cores, and this is dependent also on your host machine. So just make sure that you have this enough resources available on your host computer before you start allocation. So also the beauty of this is after when you're done with this and you can see the overview, you could go into customizing the hardware further. So by just going into the customized hardware, click on this button. So this shows up and you check if there is any other thing that you need to adjust. If it's the RAM size, if you feel you have more than enough and you want to allocate, you could use it from here. For the processor, if you think you have more than enough on your host machine, you could allocate. Then for the CD also, where the ISO file is resident, where you're going to pick it up and for installation. If you think you've changed the location also, or you want to choose another directory, you could use that also. And for network and the USB sound card and the display system, so you could do a lot of things right here. So we're going to close this and we're just going to click on finish. So as we finish that, yeah, this is going to get loaded. So as you can see, this is like an overview of what we've just prepared. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start. Yes, so we have to power on the virtual machine. So once we power it on, so you press a button. Yeah, so it starts to load a file and we follow the prompts. So the language to install is English, time and currency format, English United States. So we click on next, the keyboard setting, next. So I would like to install Windows Server or repair a PC. Then you agree to everything will be deleted, including file halves and settings. But where install Windows Server. So we agree to the terms, and at the click on that, we say this guy becomes active. So we say next. We're getting a few things ready. So yes, great. So the operating systems editions, we have the standard evaluation. We have the desktop experience. This is the core for standard. This is the data center, which is definitely the core. And this is also the desktop experience. So for this, I mean, it installs a graphical environment for you, and this actually would require more space. And if we take the standard, the same thing, it's going to require more space just because of the graphical experience. So take the data center evaluation copy. And yes, the main difference is the virtualization rights and advanced features. Windows Server 2025 um, standard evaluation edition supports up to two virtual machines with Hyper-V, while the data center supports an unlimited number of virtual machines. And for Windows Server 25 standard, it's actually ideal for a low density or non-virtualized environment, as we can, as we you said earlier, just two virtual machines. And um, the advanced features includes core Windows Server functionalities, the licensing costs, effective for smaller deployment. And for data center evaluation, and for this evaluation copy, definitely it's gonna be for 180 days, and after 180 days, it's gonna expire. I mean, access to it would actually expire. So for data, Windows Server 2025 data center is ideal for a highly virtualized environment and modern software-defined centers. Then, as per for the virtualization, it supports an unlimited number of virtual machines or Windows server containers with Hyper-V isolation per license. For the other advanced features, it includes all features of standard plus software-defined networking, software-defined storage, and shielded virtual machines. And for licensing, it's more expensive, but it provides a better value for large-scale virtualization needs. So you just have to look at it based on your organization, your corporation, and choose the best option. So for this, we're just gonna take the data center evaluation desktop experience, and we say next. So yes, the license, the terms and conditions comes. I know a lot of people really don't read these. You just want to scroll all the way and just accept. I mean, we're all guilty of that. So we'll just if we decline it, we won't be able to use this. But if we accept it, we'll be able to actually proceed further. So we're gonna accept the software the user license. So we accept. Yes, so after this, so this gets loaded. We can see the disk size that we are assigned earlier on. So we have free space of 60 gig, and the type is still unallocated. So we're just gonna click on next. So ready to install. So install Windows Server 2025 Data Center Evaluation Desktop Experience and keep nothing. So we're gonna just click on install, and this installs. So we're just gonna wait for this to actually finish or complete the installation. So let's check on the installation. Oh, 75 percent. So that's all we have. It's pretty fast, not so bad. So I'm just gonna wait for it to complete. And yeah, it's done. So just restart it. I mean, if you're using VMware Workstation, so you could just install the tool, or you say remind me later. So what this tool does is actually improves the mouse movement and videos and performances. I'll just install the tool, not now. So um, just gonna wait while this loads. Yeah, so you see this environment that please keep your computer on, installing 0%. So and it says your computer may restart a few times. 33%, and it's 42%. Oh yes, so it's still, yeah, another booting. So the first phase just finished. So this is the second phase. Yeah, so this is 94% now. Let's keep your computer on. The computer may restart a few times. Yes, so yeah, we're here. So you would choose a password of choice that you know you can remember. Please remember your password. And you said finish. Finalizing setup now. Yes, and our system is ready. So if you look at it, you see that it has almost like the Windows 11 environment. If you're conversant, if you're used to the Windows 11 environment, this is same as Windows 11's environment. And that is how you installed your Windows Server 2025. Logging into the Windows environment. So personalizing Windows environment. Yeah, so Windows environment. So that assigns diagnostics data to Microsoft. So we're gonna go in, accept. Yes, so as we can see, these are features. I mean, this is a Windows Server 2025 environment, and if we see the first Windows pop-up is try Windows Admin Center and Azure Hack today. Instead of Server Manager, you can use the Azure Hack and the new Windows Admin Center built in into the Azure portal to manage individual servers and clusters and premises in Azure. With Azure Hack, you can secure and govern Windows Server at scale on premises and across the cloud. I mean, during the launch of, discovery of Microsoft Azure, Windows Azure, it's been a very wonderful one, and this is part of the feature that Windows Server now actually has, which is um, an advantage. It is simply enables by connecting your on-premise Windows Server to Azure Hack. And you can subscribe to additional services that bring cloud innovations to your data center environment. An example of this actually includes you can subscribe to receiving or patching for non-on-premises and multi-cloud Windows servers to minimize reboot. Then you can also access additional Azure Arc management services, including best practices, assessment, and disaster recovery. And as explained also earlier on, you can subscribe for the pay-as-you-go pricing options for on-premises Windows server. So if you're using a lab environment to be able to actually expand the experience of this Windows environment, there's something called a VMware tools. So in case if when you click on this normally and you're unable to install this, if it says your this error could not be resolved, so there is a manual way of actually doing this. So it's to go to the Broadcom address as highlighted here. So once you get there, you navigate to this Windows as index of tools release 12.40 and Windows. Then you download this. Once you've downloaded this, you come back into this environment and you power on your server. Then after powering on your server, you mount it. You come to settings. You come to settings. Then you browse and that's it. So and once you log into your server environment, you go into the file explorer and you go to this PC and you see the Windows tool. So you double click on this, you set up. So click on next, install. Yeah, so you have this. So you can see the experience now is more better, much more better compared to what we had the last time. So just finished. And yeah, it's forcing us to restart the computer. So just restart. Yeah, so as we can see, it's much more better. The display, it's covered up. So I hope you remember the password you set the last time. So we enter. Yeah, so you see the environment. As you can see, it's the Windows Server 2025 Data Center Evaluation Copy. So, and it says the license is valid for 180 days. I mean, since it's for educational purposes, so I would say that let's check the Server Manager dashboard. So this will always pop up just to tell you that you can. I mean, there are better ways for you to be able to manage your server using the Windows Admin Center or and Azure Hack today. So we're going to minimize this and we're going to run through the Server Manager dashboard. We have the dashboard which gives you like an overview of the roles, server groups, file, local, all servers, and manage tools, views. And we have a local server, and on the local server, you have your computer configuration. So right here, we have like an overview of the configuration of what we've done earlier. And so the computer name is this, belongs to this work group. Securities features, Defender is on. The Ethernet 0 ports is on DHCP, as you can see, IPv6 and v4. And the Azure Hack Management is disabled for now. Remote sensitive access disabled. Uh, kind of like just show you like an overview of what we're dealing with. So we have the Windows Server 2025 Data Center Evaluation copy, and we have the RAM, which is 4 gig, and oh yeah, the processor. So we have two logical processors, as you can see, like assigned. So on this note, we have come to see how to deploy Windows Server 2025, and I would like to say thank you for watching the video and stay tuned and relax as we delve into what Windows Server 2025 has to offer for us.